Hey everyone, Ayana here. I have some lovely people on with us tonight. I have Chris and Narady. They're a beautiful couple and a power couple at that. So thank you for joining and talking.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. So we're having another episode and just having the conversation on open conversations and what we can do to make our community better, especially with the virus and demonstrations going on. So since you all are in Cincinnati, where I would be, and in the same complex as we would be, what experiences have you guys had or that you would like to share?
With everything that's been going on with the movement itself, I think one of the most eye-opening things for us, to be honest, moving to a new part of the city. For me personally, I've lived all over Cincinnati, like name any side of town, I've lived there, but I've never lived on this side of town before. When things started kind of unraveling, I started telling Chris more and more that I started to notice things around where we lived, and I started to feel like really uncomfortable, and I'm like, we are the type of people that try to make the best out of the situation that we're in, but it was like more and more people were just starting to be more open about how they felt about you being different. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
you're saying after, like, when this happened?
Just kind of when things started unraveling with everything, when honestly it was halfway through quarantine and stuff like that, and things, we would run out to the grocery store, and it kind of seemed like people were just distancing themselves, but for different reasons.
Right.
With Chris being Black and I'm Cambodian, and then we have a mixed child, we get looks.
It's me.
We get looks that make us feel like we're not wanted there and we're not accepted. And I see it more when I'm myself with Maya. I tell Chris this all the time, though. I think that he's more approachable than me, to be honest. Like he just has that, like, this aura about him that is just inviting. Or he'll talk to a stranger for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
But right? But
she may have some experience with that.
I step back and I see things. I see people look at him and Mila, or I hear things being said about us, and I'm just like, there are moments where I do stop and correct them, or I do stop and confront them. And then there are other times where you just either get like, you're in so much shock that you're like, in that moment, what do I say? And what do I say that doesn't let me come out of character? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've noticed that a lot lately, especially with all the protesting and stuff going on. We're definitely in an area of town that is not as diverse as I thought it was, and just starting to see that more and more.
Yeah. I know what you mean. That was one of the first conversations we had at the gym, when Chris asked me, so how do you like it around here? I was like, I mean, it's pretty nice. Everybody's nice for the most part, but you go to stores and you get that look like, I know you've seen a brown colored person before.
Yeah.
And It's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think some people not like, I don't know, just something about like actually seeing people in person compared to like seeing people on television, or I don't know, like I think it's partially like not being directly in contact with someone that is of color compared to like my sister's boyfriend that she just started dating, or like, my grandchild is dating someone that has some color, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different. People respond uh, differently when they are up close and personal, when they're forced to have some kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And some people, you know, I mean, she's talking about Kroger specifically when we went there, one of the Krogers, and one of the women there was just, she just had some really weird energy. Like
and she was older too, so you could tell it could be a generational thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was definitely, I would say, late 50s, early 60s. Yeah, she was the cashier.
Yeah, but she just, you know, she just rubbed people the wrong way. You know, if you were around her, you were like, okay, something's going on with her specifically. You know, that's how I took it right away. But you know, you got to push through. I don't want that whatever is going on with her to affect me or my day, because I got plenty of good things going on. You know, so I want to make sure that they're safe, they're okay, they're respected at the same time. And so we ended up following up with her just to say, hey, you know, what's your name? My name is, you know, Chris. This is my family. We just want to let you know we didn't like the way that we felt you treated us when, you know, we came in line to be rung out for groceries, and just kind of let her know, based on some of the little things that she did. And immediately she got defensive.
Yeah.
And it kind of told me that, you know, they kind of told, like, and I'm speaking to her like this. I wasn't like,
yeah, we just like approached it it could have been very different because of the way that I felt. Right. He knew how upset I was about it. So we were driving off from the parking lot and he was like, no, turn around, we're going back. Because I was just like, I just don't want to give her the time of day and blah, 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 this and that. And he's like, no, that's not okay for people to treat other people, period, that way, whether it be us or somebody like us. So he did. He approached it like very respectful and calming. And like he said right off the bat, she got very defensive.
Yeah. And that it's, you know, you can usually tell when someone has a different mindset when the defense starts coming, you know. But we're talking. But just after having the conversation, you know, in my eyes, it was just kind of like, okay, I appreciate what you're saying. You're telling me that's, you know, one of your family members is of color, and you know, you don't see that way, whatever the case may have been. And you know, it's just kind of like, I don't expect you to go, hey, I am racist and don't like, you know, seeing that and seeing a couple like that. I don't expect that at all. At the same time, I appreciated her listening. At the same time, I appreciated some of the things she did say. She said she was also going through some personal things, which, my goodness, depending on the day, I could give off some wrong energy. Yeah. And so, but it just, you know, something like that happens again, I'm just going to go to management and go, hey, listen, we've had this conversation already with this person. Not to be treated differently than other people. Right. You know, and so, and we just keep it simple, you know, and it's just, it kind of is what it is, you know. What was the original question? I am so sorry.
No, it's okay. Just asking about, you know, your experiences, and, you know, this is one that has stuck out for both you and Narady with Mila. So, I mean, if there was anything else that you wanted to talk about, another experience or anything, whether it's Cincinnati or Ohio or wherever else you've lived.
My goodness.
Or anything relating to the virus is fine too.
Mm-hmm. I guess since we're on the Black Lives Matter topic, I will say one thing I really wanted to mention while we were going to have a conversation about this was identity. And I had a hard time with it, and I'm 31 years of age. And I had a hard time with it for multiple reasons. I moved a lot when I was younger. I really didn't know who I was as a person. And then on top of that, I didn't really connect with most people around me. And so it was tough to kind of like, it always felt like I was underwater. You know, I wasn't even treading, I was just underwater. And so I think just over time, when you just become more of the person that you are, you're like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm that. All right, I'm a little bit of that person too. I'm a little bit of that person too. But over time, I just kind of realized what I stand for, and I stand for people and equality and being myself, and regardless of who I'm around, and I try and treat people with the same respect that I would like to be treated with. But I just noticed that this happening was so in my face that there was no way that I couldn't speak on things or couldn't do research or couldn't be a part of it, because it was just kind of like, yo, man, like, you're not around your black family that much, the black side of your family that much. I've never really spoken on these topics as far as black people and making sure that black people are taken care of. And I've done things. I've been a part of certain programs to help out, but I've never really spoken on it and voiced my opinion and really done the research that I would like to. But this was literally so in my face that I feel like people are also seeing a big side of me that they've never seen before, that I'm really excited to share, because usually it's one-on-one conversation. It's conversations with people that are just being ignorant or coming up ignorant, like at Kroger. Conversations with friends like, hey, listen, I don't remember the last time I was in the car with 3 other white dudes, just to give you a heads up. And that's funny to me, right? And them feeling a little uncomfortable, like,
what?
Yeah. And it's great because it's great because they need to hear that, but at the same time, I need to voice that more and make sure that they understand that, when was the last time you were in the car with 3 other people of different color than yourself?
Absolutely.
Really think about those things. And so, from a culture standpoint, things like that. But as far as identity, I think that it has definitely shown where people stand when it comes to these things, because it's like, oh my goodness, you got people wearing J's that are outside of the culture and that are not voicing their opinion when it comes to what's going on right now. You have people, the other day, I had someone tell me that it was a beautiful black woman. I know of her. This was at my job. I know of her. She was a customer, and I know we don't hit it off. And I kind of forgot why we didn't hit it off. She kind of seemed kind of rude when I first met her, like years ago. But I was reminded very quickly why we didn't get along. And someone had mentioned this to me before, but I still like to, like, for the most part, make my own, like, decision when it comes to, like, how I'm going to think about somebody. Right. And so I asked her, hey, do you need any help? I see that you're online. Has anybody approached you yet and offered you any? She said, yes. The African-American gentleman helped me out. And I had to take a deep breath, because I'm like, well, we got a plethora. What flavor was he? Was he wearing a hat? Was he wearing glasses? He is a man outside of that color.
Right.
And so it fired me up, and I couldn't even say anything. I wish I would have said something in that moment, but at the same time, I knew that my head was not in the right place to have that conversation with that person.
Right.
And so things like that specifically, I think people aren't understanding that this is the time to speak, that this is a wave that has been on the rise for a long time, and we need to speak, we need to educate ourselves, we need to have more dialogue, but we need to really not be silent, because silence
Silence is part of the problem.
Silence is you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You're silent, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I need you to speak, and I need you to own the fact that you do love your Black neighbor, your Black barber, your Black friend, the Black police officer that decided not to give you a ticket one day, your Black teacher, the Black basketball player that made, history as one of the best of all time and decided to make the shoe that you decided to wear and represent the culture with. Like, I really need that to happen.
People to step up.
Yeah.
So,
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, no, I'm in a total agreement. Well, when I did my short live the other day, I was talking about assimilation, appropriation, and adoption of the Black culture. And you just mentioned Jordans as the point of like identity and like people bringing that in, making it a part of their style, but not necessarily identifying the background behind that brand or appreciating it. And that gets under my skin just as much as someone being ignorant. I mean, and it's not just, like you said, outside of our race, it's also within our own race. The customer you just spoke about, I face that too. I'm light-skinned Black person like you, and you might be like, oh, well, what are you? That's the question I get most of the time. Are you Ethiopian? Are you Latina? Are you this? Are you that? I mean, I'm majority Black. I do have a lot of background in me, but I'm like you, another person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think what you touched on in just a second there was, within the culture too. You hear it in songs all the time where people, Black artists talk about their own Black brothers and sisters not supporting them, like, you know what I mean, or like people are not willing to work together for the greater good. There's the competition, there's there's stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, competition is good, but there's also like sometimes the pride needs to be put aside, and you got to think about the greater good, and there's already enough people tearing down the community. Why do we need it within our own people? Like, and I mean, like, you hear about it all the time in songs, and like, Jay-Z talks about it a lot, but he said, I would be crazy if I was still drinking Belvedere when Puff has Ciroc. Like, you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Like, he's basically saying, like, get it together.
Right.
We should be supporting each other, not fighting each other. Like, so,
I never thought about those lyrics that way. I thought it was more,
Yeah, that's definitely what he's saying. Yeah.
Narady's going to bring out the points for us here.
True.
It's so funny. I think when this first all started happening, I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about it because I have personal experience with it. And it hits home for us personally. And I know at the beginning it was a little bit hard for you because it was just so much, with everything happening. And we kind of actually got into it a little bit just to be raw, because I'm like, I need to talk about these things. We need to talk about these things because these things are real life. These things are very important. And we have to make sure we're staying on the up and up when it comes to all of this stuff, and try to be a part of it, and try to be a part of things getting better. It may be a small part, but it's still a part. Like, it starts in the small circles, and and I'm just like, no, the only way that we can get through this is if we do keep the momentum going, because that's what society wants to happen, is like, oh, this is going to die down. This is just a phase. This is just like a moment in time, but it can't just be a moment in time.
Right.
And that's why I feel so like, I don't know. I just feel so empowered and inspired and motivated to keep talking about these things, like every day on my personal stories and on my page, there are multiple things that I bring up when it comes to the movement in general. But and just so people don't get confused where I stand on things, you know what I mean? It's very clear where I stand on things, and you will never see it one way or another. And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah. That's what I respect about you too. I mean, another reason why I asked you is because when I saw your live, like the first one you did, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. Like, more people need to see this. And it is even more of something that needs to be talked about. Like, for me, I knew I needed to state something. I can't be silent about it. I will tell somebody in a heartbeat, look, I'm not dealing with you right now. But there, as like you said, you know, not trying to come across wrong or, you know, that out of character, because it's very tempting to do, but you know, approaching it in the right manner. And that's what really got me into deciding to do this series, you know, because it's important. It's a way of speaking out, and we have all these platforms. You have all these pieces of social media. Why not?
Yeah. I think it's great that you are doing this, and I think it's great that you just mentioned a really good you just mentioned that point too, with I guess doing things a certain way, because my goodness, there is an area close by where I don't know, is it Bethel?
It's Bethel. I don't know if you've seen those videos.
I don't know.
Oh gosh.
I don't know, because I've watched one video. I don't know if it's the same area, but we were talking about it a little bit, and I'll be looking into those videos. But there was one area where I saw just to paint the picture. So white protester. No, it was a guy. Just surrounded by people, mostly males, mostly white males. And then there was at least one cop that I saw in that area specifically that were, you know, telling him to get the F on. You know, somebody punched him in the back of the head, and he's just standing there like a champ, like a man stands. Like, yo, I'm standing my ground. I don't give a what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think. This is what I believe. You guys are wrong. It is what it is. What are you gonna do? You know, and they all had guns out.
Yeah.
All of them
like,
had
they weren't
guns.
just like
they weren't
handguns.
Just,
they were like machine guns.
All of them had guns.
And
this dude was by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, and I couldn't see the entire video, but he started walking out. You know, they're just in his face. People are doing things as he turns around. People are like a dog, like trying to bite you when you turn around. You know, it just just very coward, very scared. Mostly an older generation of men, but I think part of the reason why I didn't jump on things, and I'm actually glad you brought that up. I didn't really want to bring it up because I'm not that proud of this specifically, but the reason I didn't jump on things is because it was my way of kind of defending my emotions, because I know when I see something crazy, you know, when it comes to people, I'm just not, it doesn't put me in a good headspace, and it throws me off when it comes to other things. And that's just and that's just something that's just something I need to work on. And I'm so glad. I'm not glad that the things that have happened, but I'm really glad that it's bringing people to the forefront and coming together to make this a priority in their life, because it's about all of us. Someone put it best on social media, and it'll always stick in my mind. It was on Facebook specifically. This girl was like, "It's racist against everybody."
Yeah.
And that's it, you know. And I was just like, I'm sorry, everybody against racist. And I was just like, I love you so much.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. Yeah.
You know,
it's like the power that we have when everyone comes together is so much bigger than when everybody is divided.
Yep. I say it all the time. Like, can you imagine if all the brown color people, all the black people, like just people of color came together? Just like, what kind of world would it be? Like, why are we still fighting against each other? I mean,
we will come together.
Yeah.
That's what the world's gonna look like.
I know, and it's. I mean,
was that me? Did I just say that?
It's amazing though, because when you really think about it, you think about
most of
the really big things that stick out in culture. Who are behind it? You know what I mean? Like, who are behind it? And the thing is, like, America wants to claim it's the greatest country in the world, but yet we have to outsource because and we use other countries, you know what I mean, to get our goods and to build our nation up. And it's like, there's so much pride in this country. Sometimes I think it needs to come down a notch.
Oh, you know we're falling. You already know that.
Gosh, it's like, and it's always the blame game, you know, and it's just like, I keep one of my girlfriends, she's so supportive in all of this. She actually, like, we just had a really good conversation with her and her boyfriend. They're both white, and we like having those open conversations, and it was probably one of the best conversations that we've had on this topic with people that are not of color. They were so understanding. They were like,
I think as a whole in general.
Because it was just like, they were so open about it. They were like, we're here to support, we're here to learn, we want to do the best that we can. And you can tell they've done their research and they want to hear what people have to say, and they want to be a part of the change. And their families, their backgrounds, you know, my friend, she's like, I have family members that I don't talk to because they are racist. They literally have said racist things.
And to be honest, we both do. You know,
yeah.
Mine are less on my side for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you know, we both do. I feel like that's not. After talking with them a little bit, that's not as uncommon as we think it is.
Right. And it does come with generation for sure. But that's why it needs to stop. Like, at some point in the generation, that curse needs to be broken, and things have to change.
You gotta break them all. Break all the curses.
Yeah, because it's like,
all of them.
And I'm going to touch on this, and I know this is, he probably knows exactly like that I was going to talk about this anyways, but I'm so passionate about this, not only because it affects us personally, but like, I mean, I grew up, a lot of people would say, like, if you get around Narady enough and you see her in her element, or you see like her comfort level, like she starts to open up and stuff, they tell me that I have more hood in me than most people that they know. But because I've lived in all parts of the city, like I've literally lived on the west side, Price Hill, Queen City, like that's majority of what I grew up around. So a lot of that is a part of my life, and like the culture is a part of my life, and I embraced it. And I never saw, you know, I never saw the problem until it hit me in the face. I didn't see that there was racism in my family until it hit me in the face. Because for us growing up as kids, we played with everybody on the street. My best friends were Black. My first boyfriend in 4th grade was Black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I was in 4th grade, I would have messed up.
Chris, you can't go back in time. Sorry.
We're here now. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You're better off now.
You won. It's okay. No, but honestly, the biggest experience, to go back to the first question, the biggest experience for me, specifically for us, is when my parents flat out were like, you're not dating a Black guy. Like, I haven't spoken to my family we've been together for 11 years. Wow. So yeah, we, for the first half of our relationship, it was just constant working on trying to, you know, get them to come around and trying to make the relationship work.
We don't really like to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably know that.
That's okay.
But,
This is why we all get along.
right. Yeah. So, but I mean, I just told Chris, retold this story to Chris, what is about 2 weeks ago. Chris and I started dating, and I'm not the type of person that just brings anybody home. So we were dating. I wanted to make sure, like, this is a guy that I wanted to bring home. Like, you know, I didn't think it was an issue until my stepdad. So my mom's Cambodian. I'm full Cambodian. My biological father is Cambodian, but my mom remarried when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and she remarried a white man. And he called me one day after stalking my Facebook and saw some pictures of Chris and I together.
Wow.
And was like, first thing he says to me, doesn't say hi or anything, "Are you dating a black guy?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "This is not any of your business to be speaking on right now." And it's like, he's like, "I don't care. Who is this black guy, this Chris, blah, 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 like, on your Facebook that you're taking pictures with?" And I was like, "His name is Chris, and we've been talking, like, you know, kind of dating, whatnot." And he said to me, he was like, "You have until your mom and I gets home to tell him that he needs to be on his way and have a good life without you. Because no daughter of mine is dating a black guy." So I hung up the phone, and I'm like fuming, right? Like, at this point, I'm just like, I can't believe that just happened. I think we both knew early on, like, we fell really hard for each other. And I was like, I'm not letting this person go. I don't care what anybody says. And so he ends up taking my mom to dinner to give me more time, whatever. And they both get home, and my mom goes up to change her clothes, and my stepdad and I are having a conversation in the kitchen. He's like, "Did you do what I told you to do?" And I was like, "No, because this is my life, and that's wrong. The way that you think is wrong, and you can't tell me who to love, especially based on the color of their skin." I was like, "I love this person, I care about him, and I'm gonna be with him." And he's like, "Good luck." And so my mom comes down, and she could tell something's wrong, right? The tension in the room, you can feel it. And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Well, what's wrong apparently is that I'm dating a black guy." And she goes off, like, on this explosive rant about how no daughter of mine's gonna date an N-word. And she's like, "Aren't you ashamed to even be, you know, walking around with this person? Don't you think about the day that if you have a kid with this person, that people are going to be staring at you like disgusted with you and your nappy-headed child? Like, why would you want a, right? Like, why would you want to have a relationship with somebody that is so, you know, just all kinds of just racist? Like, this is not even like subliminal, not at all. Like, this is just like hardcore, like, racist banter, just bashing like, it was bad. It was terrible. And I'm just like, for me, I'm sitting there like, I am in shock, because granted, like, I would see things here and there, but when you're a kid, you're like, okay, I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you don't really get it. You don't
Right.
really get it. And then, especially when you don't feel that way, you know? And then it just got worse and worse. It was like, they would take my car away, even though it was my car. Like, I paid for my car. They would take my keys because I still lived at their house, so that I couldn't go hang out with him. It was stuff like that all the time. Like, they wouldn't let me come over to their house. They didn't even let Chris come in. Like, you know, they never even met him before all of this happened. Like, it was just flat out like, "Oh, now you're grounded. You're not allowed to do anything for the rest of your life if you want to date this guy."
Wow.
Yeah. So I made this decision. I'm like, I'm going to be with this guy. We can't live together. We can't be in the same place, in the same house. And we can't even have an open conversation about it. So I moved out when I was 18 because I decided I wanted to be with him. Like, And it's like, if that's going to give me my freedom and my right to do what I feel is right, like, you know what I mean? Not only right, but just love who I want to love, and stand up for what is right. And then for a long time in my own family, I was made to be the bad guy because it was all about how he was not a good person, and they never even met him, right? He was not a good person, and I was the bad person because I just didn't want to be around the family. And then I started telling the truth, and I started telling my family, like, no, because my mom is the oldest of 6 siblings, and she has 4 sisters, and all of them are married to Black men.
Wow.
Yeah, so in front of everybody's faces, yeah, they're like, you know, they're like all buddy buddy whatever, but then behind closed doors things happen, things are said, and then I started speaking my truth, and they're like, what, that can't be, whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, so now you know where I stand on this, and now I'm not going to be silent about it, because for so long I was so afraid to make them look bad, you know what I mean? Because I'm on my own island. Like, I literally don't have family that I could count on besides my one cousin, honestly. And we've become pretty close with them, but it's like, I've gotten the messages asking me, why do you care so much about this? You know, like after I posted my live video, like, why do you care so much about this? You're not Black. I was like, and then that's why I started to feel
From
like,
family?
just
from that side, or from
just from people, like, really. And I'm just like, and then it started to make me mad, because I was just like, why should I care? The question shouldn't be why should I care so much about it? Why should I?
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you care as much as I do? You know what I mean? And people, I'm starting to speak now on my story and my experiences and why I feel so called to be a part of this change. Really, because it's just
I just want to mention for 2 seconds, I am so sorry for cutting you off. We got some friends that don't want to talk. One of them, you're probably going to watch this video, and it's unfortunate that you're going to watch something with us in it and you're not going to have a conversation, but we are more than welcome to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
They're afraid to have the conversation, knowing you know who you are, knowing who we are, and this is the conversation that we would have with you. There's no yelling. Oh my gosh. If there was yelling, it's because
something happened.
Something crazy went down. Do I expect something crazy to go down? No. Do we prepare for that? Yes, we prepare for that. But at the same time, no, we don't expect that. We don't want that to happen. And I don't want that to happen with anybody I have a conversation with, especially people we're close with. So if you're watching this,
you know where we're at.
And you probably are going to watch it because you've been watching other stuff.
And shame on you.
Shame on you, because you know how we are as people. You know how we are as people.
Shame on you for, listen, everybody's...
Yeah, so we can transition. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say that to everybody. Don't be afraid to have the conversation with your friends, your people, whoever. You can disagree. It's okay to disagree. It is okay to disagree. It is okay to disagree.
Yep.
It's okay to disagree, but...
It says something.
Hold on. But Black Lives Matter.
Black lives do matter.
It's not all lives matter. Okay?
Course.
All lives do matter, but Black lives do matter. And you're not getting the right message if you think, but all lives matter. It's the fact that you're not seeing that Black lives matter.
It's because they need to have a conversation with us so we can talk about
exactly. It needs to happen.
And you have to be open to having a conversation without getting offensive and defensive.
Yes.
I know.
Sorry.
You don't have to yell at Narady. She's willing to have the conversation.
I'm willing to have the conversation.
That's the thing. It's the person who's not willing to have the conversation, even though they say they are, and then they're just on guard the whole time, just waiting to pop off. Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing is I don't have a problem having the conversation at all. I just feel very passionate about what I have to say and where I stand with it. and there is no changing my mind about how I feel about it, because I think that this, when it comes to that specifically, I think that with everything going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, I think that there is only one answer, to be honest. That's how I feel about it. And like he said, we can agree to disagree, because I won't change my mind on that.
Yeah.
So that's and I'm definitely more of the hothead between the two of us, so there's that.
It's okay. It's okay. So, sorry. I was just going to ask you, so I know you guys went to the protest 2 times, or did you go more than once? If you want to share that experience. Mila is a little conqueror over there. Like, I was like, you go, girl.
Mila, why do we do this?
Why do we do this, baby?
Because we're...
Baby,
Why?
I know, but tell us why.
Come on,
tell us
her.
why real quick. Why do we do that? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Oh,
Come
you
on.
sound like a little squirrel. What'd you say?
What? Can't hear you. Say
Wow.
it. Sit out.
Baby, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Yo, this kid says this almost everywhere we go.
No,
we'll be
she does.
we'll be in the car. Daddy, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she just keeps saying it.
And
I'm
louder
like,
and louder.
okay, so we got to jump in on this.
Yeah.
This isn't going away. Black Lives Matter. And
Yeah.
then we just start chanting it.
Yeah.
Does it in public.
So
on a regular basis.
I do want to say, like, it's on that
Appreciate
topic, the protest. He went twice, and then I went to the second. Well, we went to. It was 2 days in a row where he went. He did the Black Men in Suits march on Fountain Square downtown, and then we did the March for Racial Justice the next day on Sunday. You want to talk about your experience with the Black Men in Suits?
Yeah. And then I don't know, Ayana, as far as time-wise, what we're doing, but I do want to talk a little bit about COVID too.
Yeah.
So. Absolutely. No, you're fine.
Okay. With Black Men in Suits, actually, I don't even know now that I think about it. It may have just said Men in Suits. I really don't know, but I will say that everyone got together at Fountain Square, and it was actually men and women. And the women were split up probably, I would say like a few minutes before we started walking or marching. And we ended up, my goodness.
At City Hall?
Yeah, we ended up at City Hall. We had a good amount of men that showed up, a good amount of women that showed up, and a lot of Black men wore suits, which was great, and that's what really had me wanting to go, because one, I wanted to see other Black men in suits, just from a, our culture. This is how we stand up. This is how we rise. This is how we handle ourselves when it comes to something like this. And other people need to be able to see this, because some people are used to seeing the negativity or having the negativity in their mindset as far as what Black men should look like versus what we do look like, and how we do carry ourselves. And so, and also for the kids, we want the kids to be able to see those things. And I thought the experience was a very cool experience that I know I'll be able to connect to more in the future, because I know I've seen people that came that I don't know of by name, that I can go up to. I'll just have a conversation with them and go, hey, I saw that you came up to the Men in Suits March, and it was really dope seeing you there, man, and I really appreciate you coming out and really walking and marching to make change. And I just want to say thank you, and just have that conversation, have that dialogue, and there were it was really cool. There was a father and son that I first ran into when I got there. A cousin of mine was there that his name is Alex Williams. Shout out to Alex Williams. There were my neighbor, one of our neighbors actually. Me and Ayan are neighbors, by the way. But one of our neighbors showed up. His name is Jordan. The weirdest thing, I always believe that everything happens for a reason. So Jordan, I met like a few weeks ago, and then I saw him over the past few weeks like 3 times. And then I turn around, he goes, Chris. I turn around, and he was behind me at the Men in Suits March. And I'm like, what's up, Jordan? Just give you a heads up, white guy. Yeah, which was great to see him there. And, I didn't expect my neighbor that I just met, a couple weeks ago for me to run into him at that specific event.
Right.
And that event will connect us, from here on out, and we've built our relationship off that. And so I think our relationship will build even more from that, which, it was very powerful. I think that the turnout was big. I would love to see more people because I know a lot of people that could have showed up and came through and really would have connected with that. But no, I think it was phenomenal for the community, and I think that the speakers did a really good job. And it was hot that day. Not that really mattered because I was going to do it anyways, but it was hot that day. And so it was just really nice to see people just be positive. Like there wasn't any negativity in the air as far as like people complaining about things. People were giving out free waters. There was just positive vibe. People were talking about how nice other people looked being out. It's great to see Black men out here doing this, doing that. And you just heard positive talk, and that was a big thing that I took away from it, and I'll continue to take with me.
That's awesome.
You want to talk? I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said that's awesome. I saw your post and I was like, all right, I see you looking fly.
Right?
Appreciate you.
It's I'd never been a part of a protest before. This is my first one.
That was literally my second one, the one that we did together.
Yeah. And I was anxious leading up to it. I was anxious not only because we both made the decision, like, Mila needs to see this. She needs to be a part of this. As a mother, like, it's just like Mama Bear comes out automatically, right? Just no matter what. So I'm like, oh my gosh, should we do this? Are we doing the right thing? Are we putting her in danger? Are we, you know what I mean? Because anything could happen. And I was so anxious, like up until the moment we walked into the crowd. She was so excited though. And I had to calm myself. And I'm like, I knew I was in the right place at the right time. I don't know if you saw one of my videos. I just did like kind of like a little montage of our experience of the protest. And one of the songs that I would like to represent my life is I Was Here by Beyonce. I don't know if you've heard that song, but so I started hearing this noise, like this music in the background, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that beat. And it was the song. Like, it was the first song that the performer played as we're walking, like, and waiting to walk in the crowd, right? And I was like, okay. I'd like closed my eyes and I took a deep breath. I was like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing as a mother. I'm doing the right thing as a partner. I'm doing the right thing as a part of society, right? So it was, as soon as I got that over that initial hump, it was the most empowering thing that I've ever been a part of. Like, it makes me emotional because I can feel that same energy that I felt while we were there. And I couldn't be more proud of the decision that we made to have Mila be a part of it, because that's something that's going to impact her life in such a way that I don't think we're even gonna know until she gets older. Um, and like, we are the type of parents where, like, we want her to be her own person. We're gonna try to, like, guide her along the way and give her the best advice that we could, and just through our experiences. But I'm not going to project onto my child who she has to be, right? She's going to make her own decisions, and she's going to live the life that she's supposed to live and become her own person. So when she sees these things, like, and people think, oh, she's 3, like, she doesn't really know what's going on, right? This kid gets it. And I'm like, it makes me so proud, because I'm like, I know that she's going to be part of a big change, like, because that's what we have to do. These kids, this next generation, they're going to be the ones that are living through the effects of what's happening right now. And I know she gets it, because when we get out of the car and she sees a Black person, she puts her fist up right away. Like, and she'll say it, and she's not afraid of it. We were up in Liberty Township at a shopping mall, and it's the majority up there is white. And she saw these 2 teenage Black girls walking together, and she puts her fist up at them, like, straight up. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's like, what? And then Mila goes, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, yeah. You can't tell me that she doesn't get it after doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my way of teaching her, because when we actually did like a mini protest at Kenwood Mall, just
I was just gonna bring this up.
Yeah, Chris started it, and I don't know if you want to share that part first. Yeah. Were you starting it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't know what happened. Just one day I was kind of like, no, this is serious. This needs to be talked about. I know what people like to do in that area. They like to sweep things under the rug. This needs to be felt. It needs to be felt like it affects people directly, and not just from seeing something on their phone through social media or watching television with the news. And so, so I just decided to walk through Kenwood on my way to my full-time job with my fist up. And the first time people noticed. One person, well, actually that's a different scenario, but yeah, so I started doing that. And I did that for 4 days.
You did the first day, and then the second day we joined you.
I think you were either the second or the third day.
It was the second, because
it was the second day?
Because the first day when he did like a live after it happened, after he got off of work, and I saw that you did not get the initial reaction that needed to happen. And I was like, it goes back to we're more powerful in groups.
Yeah. So it was more so
not reaction, but
it was more so you're right. You're right. It really didn't
have the impact.
For people that I thought would start responding to it, my coworkers, maybe some people around the mall, whatever the case may have been, there wasn't that much of a response to it. But really that was the point. Was people were uncomfortable about, or people were continuously sweeping this under the rug, and it didn't need to be swept under the rug. It was time to have conversation more when it came to it specifically. And so me coming through doing that, and I went through my job with fist in the air, talking to people. I went, hey, what's up, such and such? That way people weren't looking away from me, that they looked at me when I was talking to them. They acknowledged what I was doing.
Yeah.
But also not in a, I'm going to put you down because you're not doing it, but like, hey, I want you to join me.
Yeah.
Like, this is for us.
Are you about
this is for equality. This is for everybody coming together and fighting this together.
Yeah.
And so basically I kept it up, and we had a morning meeting, and I talked in the morning meeting, and I kept it up in the morning meeting, because some things needed to be said, and people understood. I told them that, I had my fist up for equality, and Black Lives Matter, and people started to understand it. People started making some noise about it. People started getting more comfortable about it. Multiple people came up to me afterwards and go, "Hey, Chris, I'm really glad you did that," for multiple reasons. Whether it been a personal scenario that someone that they know is going through right now, maybe they're taking it really, really hard, and they, it's really affecting them personally, or whatever the case may have been. Multiple people came up to me, and I mentioned equality. I mentioned, because basically I just said, "Hey, I have I had my fist up, and I kind of jumped in the middle of our meeting, and I'm like, hey, who in this room," because we were on the topic anyways in our work meeting. So I'm like, hey, who in this room cares about another person of a different color? Put up your hand. Who in this room cares about someone of a different sex or sexual orientation than them? Put up your hand, or put up your fist, right? And people did respond, which was great, but really it was just to create conversation and dialogue, and regardless of them not coming up to me and saying something, that was nice to hear. But at the same time, what was Chris doing? Why did he do that? What was he thinking about doing that? Da, 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 da. And get that conversation going, because you could just tell, like, I was bummed because I was like, I had a feeling some people would respond, but I did not think that people wouldn't respond initially, or like they wouldn't do anything when I came through. I did not see that coming. And it told me that we are in bad shape as far as a society, and that these conversations aren't being had as much as we thought. And and so that was a realization. And so she jumped on next time, and Mila came through, and Narady came through. We had our fists up, right? Now we're walking through the mall, the three of us, and
so you can't avoid it.
And the gentleman that passes us goes, "What? Black Panthers?" Right? Yeah. Dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
Dead serious. And I'm just like, and I just kept it moving because I didn't even know what to say at the time. So, and I didn't even take it serious either. I was just kind of like,
right.
Black Panthers.
Yeah.
So we keep walking through. We keep it up the entire time. Mila starts crying with her fist up because she realizes that people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
she's very empathetic, so she feels it.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell, like, people were just staring at us.
Yeah.
Like, you could feel it.
Yeah.
And she started getting scared.
Yeah. Because
people were treating us that way.
Yeah. And the coolest thing happened. Like, literally, I'm talking to her. We're both talking to her. I'm like, "Hey, baby, like,
we're so proud of you.
You're Black.
Yeah.
Your life matters.
Yeah.
You're important.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody else needs to know that you're important, and that everybody else is important. Everybody's important, right? But we're fighting for Black people. We're fighting for people of color because other people need to know that. And that's why you're putting up your fist." And then she snaps out of it. And then she starts putting her fist up, like, most of the time, no problem, right? And we took a picture in front of the logo, if you saw that on social media, just to make that statement. And, people are standing in front of us. Some people are giving us bad looks, whatever, it didn't matter. And, that was just a very powerful moment. But to be honest, it's funny. I had a feeling that she was going to be, it didn't surprise me that she was comfortable when we went to go protest, because that was the warm up for sure.
Yeah.
And then when I went to the second protest, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're about to make some noise."
Yeah.
And so we were all vocal. We were all very vocal.
It was, to see the experience with her, like, to see how quick she got it, and how you could tell she was moved and she was motivated and she was empowered by it being that small. She was walking through, like holding her sign up. I let her make her own sign, and she just, you know.
Which I know she was excited about.
Yeah, and what was really cool was there was so much respect, and like everybody was watching out for her.
Yeah, everybody.
Like there was a constant circle, like
yeah.
like people gave her space, like there was a constant circle of like protection around her.
Yeah,
like people were cheering her on, like people were high-fiving her, and it's so cool because there was like this moment where actually I ran into one of my friends, like we haven't really connected, like we haven't been able to connect going out or whatnot, and it was so crazy because she ended up standing right next to me, and we both turned around like, oh my gosh, hey, like out of all the people that could have been standing right next to me, it was her. And she was actually the one that got the shots of us. She was like,
oh yeah.
And she was like, what made me turn around was I just heard this powerful voice screaming Black Lives Matter and like no justice, no peace, and it was Mila.
Yeah.
And she was like,
that's cool.
She was like,
I didn't know that.
That's what made me turn around and recognize you. And I'm just like, she gets it. And it was like, it's gonna be a memory that I like cherish forever, because it does. I'm emotional, but it is, because these moments in time make such a big difference. Whether people know that one march that they did was gonna do anything or not, but those moments of coming together and making everybody feel comfortable and like they matter makes everything so much more worth it. Like being anxious about it, how can I imagine being anxious about going to a protest when, you know, Chris and Am.A-line are Black, and you know they are anxious in a different way. I have friends and family that are Black that they're anxious in a different way, that I may not have that same experience, but I couldn't imagine being in their shoes and feeling that constant pressure and anxiety of just being Black. Like, and it's not fair. And we're talking about, you know, racial justice, and it's crazy that it's still an issue. And it makes me so mad and so sad at the same time, but this is why like these conversations can't stop.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, I don't know, it's just, I honestly feel like throughout my whole life I've felt this way about this specifically, and I never knew what I could do to make a difference, you know what I mean? And
I think people still feel that way.
And it's so hard, but I'm just like, people do feel like, what can you do to make a difference, right? But I think just starting to do something makes a difference.
Yeah,
you gotta start somewhere. Start small. Start somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, something's gotta give. I do believe change is coming.
Just to throw this your way too. So the second march we went to, like the first turnout, still love to see, was big. I wish there were more people, because more people needed to see that. They needed to see specifically Black men in suits. But the second one, and we've talked about this, me and Narady have talked about this, but there were 4,000 people that said they were going on Facebook.
So it was a projected
for the event.
About 4,000 people,
for the event.
Right?
I talked to my friend Gary. Shout out to Gary Faulkner. Gary, if you watch this, I love you. Appreciate you for coming through and, you know, coming for
supporting
us. Just supporting equality. So I was talking to him, and he's been around a good amount of Cincinnati events for years now. Some of the biggest events. And he does a good amount of things when it comes to some of our sports teams. So he'll take his beard, has some fun, shows off his Bengal pride or shows off his Reds pride. So, you know, he goes to the opening days, things like that. And he said, outside of the World Choir Games that was here, where literally we had, I don't know, he said almost 50 people coming from countries, like 50 people each coming from different countries around the world to meet in Cincinnati. He said outside of that event, the march that we did, the second protest, was the most amount of people he has ever seen in Cincinnati.
That's
When
crazy.
they said something about it, I mean, really, like it really was. When I remember getting a notification from Cincinnati.com on my watch, and it was like over 4,000 people showed up to this protest.
It was
blah,
so
blah, blah, blah.
downplayed.
And it's
So
like,
downplayed.
you know, first and foremost, it was peaceful.
Yeah.
Just like the first one was that I went to. Second off, like, there were so many people there that the first day, I walked into Fountain Square, no problem. Like, middle of Fountain Square, I was there.
You could walk around, yeah.
The second day, we weren't even within, like, I don't know, 100 feet of Fountain Square specifically. You couldn't even walk into Fountain Square.
Yeah, we were on the street.
People were surrounded.
Like, yeah.
People surrounded Fountain Square. Like, literally.
On all of the streets surrounding.
We stopped. I remember when we marched to City Hall the second time as well. We stopped in Over the Rhine for a second because we were meeting some people because they were marching, right? The amount of people that were behind us that just kept coming was not. I've seen, the only time I've seen people like that was when I was in Austin, for Austin City Limits. Shout out to Austin. I love that city. Shout out to Alex Bowling. He lives there. It was like the craziest thing, the most beautiful thing ever. So much support. There were so many signs there. It was ridiculous. So many people chanting different things. I was chanting like I was trying to chant my head off.
He was. I was so proud.
Because
I was so proud.
Because, like, you know, if it's quiet, we gotta make some noise, and we gotta keep everybody energized because we walked a longer route than the first day, from what I remember. And then on top of that, it was a hot day too. So I wanted to we had to make sure that everybody stayed on, had to make sure everybody was focused, and people were like, I can't breathe, literally like yelling, I can't breathe. And you could tell some people were just exhausted from either yelling, constantly, from, maybe having this conversation multiple times from nights before or different protests, whatever the case may be. And I laughed a little bit inside because I'm like, wow, literally, like, this person is like out of breath. But that was the beauty in that moment specifically, because this person was giving everything she could to make sure that everybody understood that
we're there.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do. This needs to be heard because this is unacceptable. And we're tired of hearing it. And it was a huge mix of people. It was a huge mix of people. Somebody next to us had a baby with a stroller. Yeah. A baby with a stroller. Like probably a couple months.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, you did see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
One of the shots. Like.
Yeah. It's it was such, seriously, it was like the most moving and empowering thing that I've ever experienced. And I do think that is losing momentum a little bit, to be honest. Just seeing that and then seeing more protests. It's navigating to different parts of the city though, but I think people still need to make noise and still need to go regardless of the numbers. But I think there are other things that need to happen as well, because there are things in the, like, on the backgrounds, like, protesting is, I believe protesting does bring change. It does. Like, because would things have would the officers have been arrested if social media wasn't involved, if the protests weren't happening? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the people have to speak. People have to speak on these things. People have to speak in the way of voting as well, in the way of really knowing where the change has to happen, and who are part of the change. And those things are really powerful too. And I think that if we come together and all of those things happen, there's no doubt in my mind that there is change on the way. But yeah, the protest will be something that I take with me forever. Like, and I knew that I was a part of a really big moment in history because that's where my heart was.
Yeah. That's something to carry with you for sure. And I know Mila's going to carry it with her. Shoot. She's going to continue to be a powerhouse. I can just see it. Like,
thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. We're pretty lucky. I'm like, wow. Like, how did we get so lucky to have a kid that
she's a champ all around.
Yeah.
But see, that's also the thing. You know, most people want to discount what children do and do not understand. I mean, I have 3 nephews. My youngest is 5 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, on the news, something came up like, oh, black man killed or whatever. And he's like, we're black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
Josh, we're black. Like, these are things that, or like a stereotype he brought up to my mom was, you know, black people can't swim. He's like, we're black. We would fit into that. So, you know, children know what's going on. People may not want to acknowledge it, but they know. Very intuitive.
Yes. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. So I think I know that there are people that I know that are probably not having the conversations that need to be had with family, younger family members, because that stuff is learned, you know what I mean? That's stuff is taught, and I don't know, it's like we try to be as open with her as possible, even starting with like the virus and stuff like that. When everything was happening, you know, we had to wear masks and stuff like that. We can't just expect them to be like, oh, okay, you have to do this. We're not going to explain it to you, but you have to do this.
Right.
We are the type of people like, no, you're going to understand why we have to do this. And you're going to understand what's going on around you in the world. Because you're going to be an open-minded person. This is what, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I can tell you this right now that, like, growing up, I'm like, in some sense, I felt like I was sheltered until I decided to break out of the shell, you know? Like, my parents didn't want me to know as much as, God forbid, that I know now. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's, honestly, I think it's a way of control, too, you know? Controlling what you want versus what your child wants, you know?
Right.
And like with the virus, we told her, you know, she gets it. Like, she's like, oh, why can't I touch stuff? Because people are sick, mommy? I was like, yes, you have to protect yourself and you have to protect other people. Like, you have to wear a mask because, why do you have to wear a mask? Because people are sick, mommy? Yes, because to protect you and other people. So it's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. We're like, we don't just tell her to put her fist up, you know, we're not just telling her to do this. We're encouraging it. And we're also explaining why she's doing it. And the best way that I could explain it to her was, I had a conversation with her in the car because she was still upset after we left Chris at the mall, after doing the walk through the mall. And she was still upset, and I could tell she was still anxious, because she, you know, had some tears in her eyes. And so I was like, baby, it's okay. I'm so proud of you. You did such a good thing. You have no idea how powerful that was. Like, you did so good. And I was like, but I want you to know why you did that. Okay. You have to know why you did that. And so we sat there and we talked about it. And I said, the best way I could say to her was, the reason why we put our fist up is because we protect Black people. because not everybody protects Black people. And we have to do that. And so now if you were to ask her why she puts her hands up, she says, because we protect Black people. And
you wiped it?
if only everybody in the world felt that way.
Right.
You know?
Or expressed it, actually.
Yeah.
Expressed it.
Right. Felt and expressed it, right? But
Yeah. Chris, I know you wanted to speak a little bit more about the virus. I know Narady brought it up, and with masks, which is very important. And people downplay this virus like nobody else, like business. But then I believe the second wave is coming faster than what was predicted.
yeah.
That's what I've had some conversation with people, and one person was saying the same thing. He's like, I see it coming. I see us shutting down again. Da, 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 da. And to be honest, I can't say that I agree or disagree. The reason I say that is because wishful thinking. I hope it doesn't happen again. On the other hand, it's also motivating me to make sure that I stay on top of my things when it comes to what I'm doing right now. On a business end, on a personal end, with our family, etc. I think people need to understand that it is real. I had an incident where, and most people don't know this. I had an incident where, just some of my close friends know this, but I had an incident where I got sick.
It's around Christmas.
It happened around December 19th. And this was literally right before, we were about to take the holidays off. And so I knew I had a couple days, I think, that I was off anyways. So I was really looking forward to it. And I ended up, getting sick. And I remember kind of the moment. I remember working at the time and just feeling like,
You said you started with chills.
yeah, just like a fever. I just felt like I was getting a fever, and I felt it pretty quickly. Like I was like, "Oh snap! Okay,
Like,
probably
shoot, something's happening."
Yeah. Like hopefully I don't have the flu, right? But it felt like fever for sure. So, anyways, and I remember a little bit of the guy that I was talking to at the time. Anyways, it was a customer. Anyways, I left. I don't know if I left early that day or if my shift was about to end, but either way, I went home and I got in the car. I think I told Narady I wasn't feeling great. And then, all of a sudden it was like, boom, like you're going to be on this couch for the next couple days. Yeah. And I felt that way once before. And this was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Literally it was night and day. Literally I felt terrible. Yeah. And then like the next day, middle of the day, I was fine. It was the weirdest thing. Like at the time I couldn't get up, I couldn't walk around, right? Yeah. And so, but yeah, this was very similar. And so, for days, but it was longer. For days, like it got worse and worse where I couldn't get up, very, very much without feeling lightheaded.
Yeah. He doesn't complain. Like when he gets sick, he doesn't complain much. He just kind of just. Yeah.
I guess I'm just that stubborn. I don't really know. And I just felt headaches, which I normally don't have headaches, but these were, I guess you could say they were closer to a migraine.
Yeah, because you were telling me, like, you were like, I can't even look at my phone without my head hurting so bad.
I couldn't, yeah. Actually, it was that bad. Yeah, I remember, like, trying to send texts because I had, personal training clients, like, just, hey, how you doing? Everything okay? And, I couldn't look at my phone. It got to that point, and I just stopped. I just left my phone down. I had already posted something on social media, like, hey, Chris is going to be MIA for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Just so you know. Yeah. So I think almost a week went by, I took off, and Actually, it went through, maybe it was a little bit longer. It went through the holiday. So it went through literally Christmas.
We had Mila's birthday.
Yeah, my daughter's birthday was the 23rd. Christmas.
Well, because we had the incident.
I'm getting to that part. My goodness.
I'm just trying to think of what day it was. Was it Christmas Eve?
Yeah, it was. Was it Christmas Eve? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So
Christmas Eve.
yeah, I mean, it went through, I think, New Year almost.
Yeah.
And
because we spent New Year's on the couch.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of TV, a lot of shows, a lot of water.
Yeah.
Not much food. I couldn't eat. Couldn't hold anything down. Didn't want anything. And so, anyways, one morning, I went to the bathroom.
It was like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was pretty early. I went to the bathroom and I felt a little lightheaded at the time, but I was okay. So when I got up, I had to walk around my couch. It's a sectional, and I was on the long end of the sectional. So here's the sectional. So I walked around the other side of the sectional, and I caught myself once time a little bit, and I'm like, okay, Chris, wake up. Because I was a little tired too, I think. So I caught myself for a second, and I was like, all right, cool. Let me just make it to the bathroom. So I go into the bathroom, and I just have to pee. So put on my pants, start going, and
well, first initially, I'm going to tell the background. I saw him stand up a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm awake now because I'm a pretty light sleeper, and I knew he wasn't feeling well. And so I heard him go in the bathroom. He opened the toilet seat, but it was really loud. I'm like, this is not normal. In the middle of the night, this is kind of excessive. So I heard that. Yeah.
So start trying to go. All of a sudden, I realized that I hit my head on the front wall in front of me, and I bounced back. So it was like boom. And then I stood and I caught myself standing, and I was like, I just hit my head on the wall. I'm going to finish going to the bathroom. So I keep going. And then seconds later,
literally seconds,
I'm down on the ground, just timber. And I briefly remembered it because Narady was coming in, and I'm out. Right, Nardy's coming in, and I hear her.
Well, this is what happened. I literally just hear her crash.
Yeah.
It was so loud that I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
Yeah.
So I get up and I rush to the bathroom. The door, he's laying against the door. So imagine me, how small I am. I'm 5 foot tall.
It's not a big bathroom.
And then leaning against it, 6'1", and how much are you wearing? You don't want to tell that? Okay.
215.
Yeah. So and then I'm pushing the door, and then that superhuman strength that you get in
adrenaline rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So I push the door open, and I'm his eyes are rolling back. He literally he had a seizure.
I had a seizure.
He had a seizure.
I had a seizure.
And I'm I've only seen this one time, not with him, but just with a classmate when it happened. But he's not responding to me. I'm yelling at him. I'm I slapped him in the face one time.
I heard.
And I was Chris. I was and I'm he's not answering me. I have my, I'm getting ready to call, 911. And all of a sudden I was able to, just get him to lay flat and, lay to the side because he was just not responding, but his body was so stiff.
Yeah.
And they say you're not supposed to move somebody that's having a seizure, but the bathroom was not big enough for his entire body to lay flat.
I don't know. I'm looking at the bathroom as we speak, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It was so scary, and I'm so finally he comes to, and then
I can hear her. And as soon as I hear, I'm like, oh shit, something's wrong. Oh shit, I must have fallen on the ground.
Yeah, because
I'm hearing certain things. I'm able to process some things, but it just, it literally went from black to blurry. a little bit of light, blurry, right? Blurry, a little bit clear, and then all of a sudden you were there. And the thing is, I had pee all over myself. It
was all over me.
I was very attractive at that moment.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm like freaking
Yeah.
out. I'm like freaking out, but I was calm at the same time. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
are you okay?
I was
Like,
very dehydrated.
Do
like,
we need to
very
take,
dehydrated.
like, do I need to call 911
I
or do I need to take you? Like, what needs to happen?
And
It was so
I couldn't get up at the time. And so I don't know what happened. I guess I scooted out on the floor, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I can't move right now. I can't get up. Shout out to my neighbor at the time. We are not in good standings with this neighbor specifically, but shout out to the neighbor at this time, because if it wasn't for him and his family, we wouldn't have, I wouldn't have been able to get out of here. I asked if the neighbor could come help out. He came up with his 2 sons. They picked me up,
they
and
literally
then
had to carry
they
him.
carried me to the car. And and then from there, we went to the hospital. They told me I had pneumonia. And
But he didn't have the flu.
Yeah.
I didn't have the flu. And seizures. He really didn't say much about the seizure itself.
Yeah.
Said that, I may need to check with a brain doctor, a neurologist, to talk to them more about that if I want to look into that more. And then they hydrated me for a couple hours, and I was kind of on my way. And
they're like, there's really not much else we can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Oh no, I just said yep.
Yeah. So, cat's out of the bag now. Everybody knows now. But to be honest, afterwards, I had friends that hit me up months later, like
when things started coming out about the virus.
Started coming out about the coronavirus.
Like, oh wait, Chris, weren't you?
sick? And it
really
was
sick like that?
And it was the funniest thing. We literally had 3 friends hit me up at the same time. Like literally, it was like between 1 and 2 days, 3 friends were like, "Hey Chris, weren't you sick this time? Hey Chris, you okay around this time?"
Didn't you have the same symptoms?
And it's funny because we were piecing it together as we were finding out more information.
Yeah, like, oh, this stuff.
And just thinking about it, I'm just like, hold up. December 19th, Trump was saying that was when this was
that's kind of when everything was surfacing.
When it happened, or when we found out that it was going on, or when it was started in China. And I was just like, started in China.
But
what do you mean?
Nope.
Right.
What do you mean? Right.
Right.
And so, who knows how long it had been going on before this actually happened, and just hearing it was a China virus, that just fired me up.
Oh
but
my
anyway,
gosh, yeah, don't
like
even
just
go
saying,
there.
saying that out loud, right? And so, anyways, I really wanted to mention that because
to show how real it is.
It is a real thing. I'm not positive.
Sick.
I'm not positive. I was never tested for it. I'm not positive that it was.
They couldn't test you for it. They never have the things to test you for the actual
at that
coronavirus.
time. Yeah, at that time. But
we
still,
know that's
I'm just saying. I can't sit here and say that it was for sure that. Yeah. But I've never been hit with anything before remotely similar to something like that. And I'm normally not down for the count like that, and I was down.
It was pretty bad.
So I think just people just not taking offense when I'm not trying to shake your hand. I'm not trying to dap you up. Like people some people are taking these things personally, like people that I know, this and that, and I'm just kind of like, who knows if I was in a different position, or if someone else's, if your immune system is weaker than normal, who knows if it could do something to you that could have been fatal. I mean, I could have died in the bathroom. Let's be real. My head could have hit something. Like my head hit the corner of the bathroom itself. My neck was like this.
Yeah,
I think when she found me.
I'm like, oh my gosh, did he break his neck?
Anything could have happened.
It's just,
anything could have happened.
I just think that there's so many other distractions.
She was, she saw what was going on. She was wide awake. Like, is daddy okay? What's going on? And she's crying as we're on our way to the hospital. But
she knew something was wrong.
So.
But you can't play with it. I mean, at home here in Virginia, I'm a funeral director, so I deal with these things. And even on a death certificate, it may be pneumonia, it may be COVID-19, or it may not be have been tested yet. So you don't even know. And then we get notified or we don't get notified, depending on what virus it is. So,
Really?
we're supposed to take all the precautions that we can. But again, dealing with other families and everything, we're wearing our masks. We're telling you to wear your mask when you come into the facility. This is a healthcare facility.
Yeah.
But you don't want to sign our indemnification form because you stepped into our facility, but you stepped in on your own free will. We're taking all precautions we can. Are you? So, the thing that gets me the most about all precautions everywhere is, okay, you have the screens, you have everything, but as soon as I put my credit card into the machine, whether it's covered with plastic or whether it's not covered with plastic, people are still touching the same pad, the same
piece
stuff.
of plastic.
What are we doing?
Like,
right. That's not going to help the situation.
It's not at all.
I might take it off. Next time I do this, I might take it off. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
So
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not even gonna lie. I might slide it up and go, does this matter? If anybody says, does this matter? What makes everybody else feel good?
Right.
You want me to tell you why it doesn't matter?
Because
Do I need
everybody
to say
else
why?
is touching it.
Right.
It's just, right. And it's like, literally, I think it's everybody for themselves at this point. Because, let's face it, there's no leader of this country. Like, let's be real. There's no leader of this country, and there's nobody telling us, like, it's just all blowing smoke. Like, so now it's everybody having to make their own judgment on everything, right?
Right. And then just deciding, you know what, I don't care what you suggest to me. I'm fine. I'm not going to wear my mask, even though the governor has mandated I'm supposed to wear it, or such and such person has mandated that I should wear it. And I know what my health is like, but you know what? I don't feel like suffocating with a mask. Well, all right. You don't know what your chances are. I don't know what my chances are. Yeah,
Right.
whenever it may be your time to go or whatever. And if you get sick, then that's one thing that you can believe in. But at the same time, shouldn't you take the necessary precautions to do the right thing for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, there have been times where, like, we're out. I think I was really nervous at first about, I was going to Kroger one day.
What, not wearing a mask?
And I was like, I wanted to wear a mask, right? I was like, oh, are people going to look at me crazy because I'm wearing a mask? This is when at first everything started breaking out, right? And I was like, I told Chris, I was like, I feel like people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care. I'm wearing a mask because, it was like, oh, masks aren't gonna do anything, blah, blah. Like, they're telling you, do wear a mask, don't wear a mask, do wear a mask. Like, it was the whole back and forth thing. And then I finally just made the decision for all of us to wear masks. I was a freak about this stuff, girl. Like, I was like, everybody take their clothes off at the door. All of your clothes that touch the outside, like, every single time we left the house. Take your shoes off. I disinfected the door. I washed our produce with antibacterial stuff. I wiped our surfaces with disinfectant every time we went out to the store. And we had a specific counter just for grocery bags and stuff like that. Sanitize your hands as soon as we got into the cars. And I told Chris, I was like, I know this is excessive, but I was like, I'm trying to do the best that I can to keep us safe. And yes, I do feel like it did die down a little bit because we're not in that extreme anymore. But I feel I have a lot of clients that work in the medical field, that are nurses, that work in the ER and stuff like that. And they're like, it's the worst that they've ever seen it, with people actually coming in with coronavirus and nobody's talking about it for real. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's getting worse and worse as the days go by, and it's going to happen again. And I'm like, oh, that's scary. So then, like, stuff like that puts it into perspective where I'm like, we still have to be very careful.
Yep. Just like anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you. We haven't been wearing masks out in public.
Yeah.
We still take the necessary precautions as far as. I thought you were gonna say it. That's why I didn't say it yet.
No.
But we still take the necessary precautions as far as making sure that. Why? No, I do. I mean, I pay attention to y'all.
Sanitize,
We're
washing
together.
hands.
Yeah, sanitize. Watch
Staying
your
away from
spacing when it
people.
comes to people.
Yeah.
People are a lot more lax now, and we're kind of like it's taken me a second to adjust to it because it kind of started happening quickly.
Mhm.
Like I just noticed people's spatial awareness started to change.
Yeah, like people
Like-
literally didn't care anymore.
Like when it came to like me, if I was talking to one person, for me, sometimes I would lean in a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm a little soft spoken, like naturally when I'm just talking one on one. But like, yeah, if it's like if I'm next to like multiple people, and some people's trying to walk past, some people see that gap and they'll just take it,
Mhm.
and it's just like, I mean, literally walking around
Mhm.
wouldn't have changed anything,
Mhm.
but people are getting more lax
Yeah.
because it's just not talked about
Yeah.
Right.
like before.
I do. It does make me
and
aware, though.
yeah.
Like, I'm glad we're having this conversation because I do believe that we should be wearing our masks
We
when
should.
we're out.
That's why I was actually glad we were having.
Yeah, because I'm like, I knew it. I became a little bit more lax
or at
about
least,
it. Like,
or at least just a little more, like just picking or choosing to do it more often.
yeah,
And
Um,
where to wear it. Like for me, if I go into a building, I'm gonna wear it. If I'm outside in my own car, I'm not gonna wear it. If I'm not near anybody, I won't wear it.
yeah. So like, for me, a lot of people in the cosmetology industry don't wear masks. It's actually
That's wild.
yeah, but actually,
That's wild.
it's ever since I've ever started working, I've always worn a mask. I've been doing nails for 15 years, and I've always worn a mask. So it's not anything new for me. And I wear my mask all day long, so that doesn't bother me to wear a mask because I do. No, not on my belly. So that like wearing the mask doesn't bother me. It got to me a little bit when we were wearing out. I think more just because I was nervous about touching my face.
Yeah.
It made me nervous about touching my face, but I know that I do believe that is important, and whether it's talked about or not, I think that everybody should still make the best judgment on what they deal with on a regular basis. You know, what they see that is going on around them, what conversations are being had with people that they know, because. I mean, you can watch the news all day long, but the stuff that's really going to affect you is what's around you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's always your inner circle.
Yep.
Well, wrapping this up, I really appreciate you both getting on this call and just talking about your experiences. I mean, it's been great to hear it from you all, especially seeing, you have Cambodian blood within you, but you were born and raised in Cincinnati and in that neck of the woods, and seeing like your progression to now, and just like with getting involved with Chris and y'all's stories. Wow. Like you never know when you meet people what kind of story that they have until you get to know them.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us a chance to speak on all of this. It just gives us another platform to make sure people know about things that are happening,
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.